my co-host. Once again, 2 weeks in a row, Danny Cathro.
We're really doing it. This is a next level of consistency that I think we can learn to rely on.
Yeah,
For sure.
absolutely. I mean, we would never miss a week. This
No.
podcast.
What? No. No. Delays? Possibly. Maybe delays. Like this week.
And last week.
Yes. But if you delay all of them, are they really delayed?
That's a good question. I'm not sure, Danny. You know what I am sure of, though, is if you want to support this content directly, you can go to patreon.com/LTOMTG to do that. And that's pretty sweet. So sweet, in fact, that we want you to tell us how sweet you want it to be. So we're bringing back the contest that was announced on the last episode before we deleted the podcast. Oops. Yeah, so before we ended the show, before we were looking for people to tell us, what do you want from our Patreon? So if you have a suggestion, please feel free to shoot it at us on Facebook or on Twitter, or just email us at ltocast@gmail.com, and we would love to hear from you. If your suggestion gets picked, it will be in a drawing to get a $100 store credit to Oasis Games. So,
Sweet.
Even if you don't become a patron, just give us suggestions on things that you think would be super awesome that you'd be willing to become a patron partly because of them. Hopefully you just want to be a patron because we make awesome content. But yeah, if there's anything that you have any suggestions for, please shoot it our way. We would love to hear it.
Yeah, because we're looking to, I don't know, like mold the podcast to fit what people want for sure. So
yeah, we have a pretty clear idea of what we want the show to be, but also, that doesn't mean that there's not room for improvement.
Yep.
With that being said, let's go on to our biggest movers. So this week for biggest movers, we are doing Dominaria draft because Dominaria is the draft format for Ranked on Arena right now, and this is now an Arena draft podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, what is your biggest mover on Arena this week?
So my biggest mover up is Blink of an Eye. That card is great, but I kind of forgot just how great it was. It's like really good, and I love it because with blue in this format, sometimes you have a lot of like card draw, like divinations and stuff in your hand, and you don't need to kicker the Blink with an Eye. You can just kind of use it as a tempo, and then 2 mana to trade with like their 5-drop creature. Their 6-drop creature will just buy you enough time that you can get ahead with your divinations. But you can also just do like super cute stuff with Blink of an Eye, like bouncing something that has a deep freeze on it in combat to eat their guy, or upkeep bounce or draw step bouncing your your sagas to be able to get all 3 activations again. Yeah, there's just like a lot of really sick plays that you can do with it.
All right, my current draft deck on Arena has Llanowar Elves, double Grow from the Ashes, double Blink of an Eye, double Deep Freeze. Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, so the best have you done the Deep Freeze play where you like attack your 2/2 into their something that has the Deep Freeze on it, or like it normally happens like a 3/3. Like let's say that you Deep Freeze their flyer or something. You attack and they'll block, and then you pick up your Deep Freeze and then it kills it. Yeah, that's a sweet play. Yep. And it comes up actually like quite a bit.
Yeah, this set's pretty sweet for that. I really love Blink of an Eye. I was gonna say, the sweetest Blink of an Eye play that I've had so far with this current deck is I was playing against like an Enchantress deck. Like it was like putting dubs on stuff, like 2-drop dub attack, dub attack.
Yeah.
And getting the 2-for-1 off of the 3-for-1 off the Blink of an Eye,
yeah,
by getting the double dub and drawing a card was like, it was spicy.
That's disgusting. Yeah, Mirari Conjecture is a personal favorite of mine, but yes, there's a lot of good ones.
Cool.
But how about yours? What was your biggest mover up?
I think I was just kind of reminded of this. I don't know that it was particularly needs to be a biggest mover up, but On Sarah's Wings is just like kind of a beating.
Yeah, it's so
the blue-white.
That is the blue-white deck. Like if you ever play against blue-white, I feel like it's 50-50. They have the turtle with On Sarah's Wings. Like that's just like what that color combination does, and you just have to live with it.
Yeah, I lost to a blue-white historic deck that had the tapper,
Sure.
and he tapped my flyer and put an Onsera's Wings on his
Yep.
creature, and I was like, oh man, oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Yeah. There's quite a bit of removal, so you can like I've seen
and
on Sarah's
and two
Wings.
mana removal, right? Like you have Cast Down, you have
Yeah. No, there's a lot.
I mean,
Cast down does not work once the on Sarah's Wings is stuck, but
is
yes.
that true?
Yeah, it makes it legendary.
I usually don't cast my Onsar's Wings into the mana, but that's a good
Yeah.
point. I forgot that
Yeah,
makes
it
it
makes it
legendary.
legendary.
Well,
Yeah.
there you
No,
go.
that card's sweet. I mean, the turtle's the classic. I feel like that is a mainstay of this format is dying to
Oh,
a turtle.
there's an Ombulus's Clutches in that deck too, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, that's a yep. Those are some very good uncommons.
Yeah.
This set is filled with a lot of power, but I think that's why I like Blink of an Eye so much is because it interacts with like all of the things that you're talking about interacts really really favorably because just being able to target any permanent. There's lots of different permanent types in this set.
What is your biggest mover down?
Down I had just called the Cavalry. That is an effect that's pretty like has become common. Like 4 mana for two twos out of white is like something you see relatively often, and it varies pretty widely on how good that effect is. And in this set, it's like pretty bad. There's just a lot of 2/3s, like a lot, and just games aren't really about that. Like there is a green white tokens deck, but I don't think I've ever played it to success really or really tried. But supposedly other people like it. And so maybe it would be good in that deck if you could get it to come together. But besides that one instance, it just kind of falls really short compared to what else you can do in white or in other colors.
That makes sense.
How about yours? What was your biggest mover down?
So for me, I think my biggest mover down this week was I don't know because there's so much learning. There's like mostly biggest movers up. Like a
Yeah.
lot of things I was reminded how good they were, different things.
Mm-hmm.
But this kind of probably sounds like a really weird biggest mover down, but it's probably Glider.
Aether Glider, the 2/1 flyer for
It,
3
is it
that can't block.
is it Ether or Ether?
You know, you are saying 2 words, and I'm not sure. I think it's Aether. Ooh, it is Ace. What is that?
I don't know.
S.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
Aether
I do think
Glider.
I think it's my biggest mover down.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that the card isn't fine, but I for some reason in my head I remember that card being really good.
It's good in one deck. It's good in black white, like historic aggro is like the deck. Yeah, but besides that, it is very bad from my experience.
Yeah, I remember playing blue white with this card quite a bit. If you could get a
I
blue
guess
white
that's
historic
fine.
deck,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it kind of underperformed for me, and maybe I just remember it being so good in those decks that I kind of forgot that it was bad in other decks. But yeah, that's my biggest mover down.
Nice. It is fun re-experiencing a format from months ago and like trying to jog your memory about all the different things.
Yeah, one thing I want to mention for biggest mover downs is kind of how the bots are affecting it and how that affects kind of the color combinations for me. And one thing that I've noticed, I've done quite a few Dominaria drafts preparing for this podcast specifically. I haven't seen a Shivan Fire.
No, I haven't seen one.
This actually makes the red deck significantly worse, I think.
I think it's kind of deserved. That is probably one of the top couple commons, right? So you shouldn't be seeing a ton of them, but yeah, I've seen like basically 0.
I've seen actual 0, like which is a little unlucky, right? But like even I don't know, you would think that somebody would pick. There are very good uncommons, right? There's Fight with Fire, Ice Manipulator, Impulse's Clutches, Cast Down. Like there's, and I wonder if they have Shivan Fire above some of the top uncommons. And
I'm not sure. Maybe
if they do, I don't think that red is as good of an red archetypes are as good.
Yeah, that's especially true because I know. So red and white are less deep than the other colors, if I remember correctly. So if you like look at the red commons, there's some that are very good. Like Shivan Fire is great. Get to Chronicler is really strong. Fire Intervention is pretty reasonable in most decks. But besides that, it like kind of falls off pretty quickly. And so if the top common you just never see in a color that's really like shallow, it's gonna have a huge effect for sure.
Are you noticing that when you're trying to draft other red decks? Because I did have a green red draft, um, which
Pilar goes late. I've seen a lot of that, and that's like that card's a beating. So I could imagine
yeah.
green red being
So
better.
Halar is the reason that I got into it. I got like a fifth pick Halar. I think I ended
Hmm.
up with 3 Halars in that deck.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I definitely think that that could happen if that's just
which
how
could
the packs
mean that
happen.
maybe red's open, but the problem is in order for that deck to be successful, I found you really, really, really need Grow from Ashes because you have to kick
Hmm.
your future spells. So
Yep.
it's kind of tough.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't think I've fully understood exactly what the bots are doing and what you could reliably see. I've found myself in a lot of like slow, grindy decks, which is kind of what I favored
Sure.
originally. And so I don't know if it's like personal bias or if it's just because I
Here's
can find a lot
another
of divinations and stuff. But
here's another example. Grand Warlord Rada, I got fourth pick in that draft.
yeah, so I think that green
Or
red
no,
specifically,
fifth
I've like
pick. I got it after my first. Was it fourth or
Halar.
fifth? Yeah, I got it after my first Halar.
Yeah, a lot of I think so. In an important aspect of this set is that I think a lot of the decks are two colors splashing one or two cards of a third color. There's like Eviscerate, Blessed Alliance, like so you can splash removal. Like if you first pick an Eviscerate, you're much more likely to play it in this set than you would be in another one because Skittering Surveyor is like a common. It's just a good card regardless, but it enables splashing. And so a lot of my decks will splash like a slightly off color removal spell or bomb.
Sure. We're
And
getting a
I
little bit
don't
into
think
our
the
training
bots
grounds,
do
by
that.
the way.
What?
So we're getting a little bit into our training grounds,
Well,
but
okay. Yeah.
no. I think it's good. It's good info though. I think
Yeah.
maybe we need to add a bots segment after the biggest movers.
That's
Just
smart. Just like kind of discuss what we think the bots are doing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea. But let's actually deep dive. So this week
Okay.
we're going to talk about Dominaria draft because it is the rank format of the for the next for about 3 more days this week and then next week.
Hmm.
Or wait, more than that.
Yeah, it's until the 7th. So that is, yeah, like a
Like
week.
10
It's until
days. Yeah.
next Friday. Yeah.
So, with that being said, we're going to just kind of go over some big things. Let's start
Hmm.
with what we start with every set, and that's top commons.
Hmm.
So, uh, I think that there is a very, very, very best common in this
Hmm.
set, and I think you already mentioned it.
Yeah. So I think in Ben Stark's article, his little refresher, he said that he thinks that the first copy of Skittering Surveyor is the best common.
I think that the second copying of Skittering Surveyor is also the best
Sure.
common.
It's like it's really, really good. And I think a lot of it is because of the power level of the set. So if Skittering Surveyor was in the core set or something, it might not be as strong. But in this one specifically, you can get a lot of advantages if you can splash a third color. Just because the power level of the uncommons and rares is really high, and a lot of them are splashable, and so you can like if you splash a Tatiova because you have a Skittering Surveyor or two, that is like your deck is so much better if you can just do that, right? And so it I don't think this would be true in every set, but in this one specifically, it like synergizes with so many things and facilitates really, really strong decks.
Yeah.
I can see it.
I think that splashing is a pretty big deal in this set. I am splashing quite a bit in
Mm-hmm.
this format.
Yeah.
Even in the deck that I just said I have on Arena right now, it's just green blue, and then it plays the white black knight.
Sure. Yeah.
That
In
just off of Grow
green, you
from
can
the
go
Ashes and
off the
stuff.
rails.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
And,
yeah.
and if you have like 2 Grow from the Ashes and a Skittering Surveyor, you can basically play
Mm-hmm.
most color combinations. And I think Skittering Surveyor, just allowing you to play your Blessed Lights and your Eviscerates is a pretty big game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the green base decks can actually just play whatever late game they want most of the time with Grow from the Ashes. But it's like you can play a red black control deck and then just splash whatever rare you open, right? And like that's something that would be a lot harder to justify in other sets, but in this one it's really easy because you just have a Skittering Surveyor or two and then one basic and you just call it good.
Yeah, I do think that you mentioned Ben Stark's primer, and I don't know if he actually
Mm-hmm.
had green listed on his, but I actually think Llanowar Elves is probably my my fourth or fifth best common. I
Yeah,
think
he
it's.
said that was the best green common, slightly behind all of the other colors.
Oh, I don't know if I agree with that. I
Common.
do think green is worse, so it makes Llanowar Elves appear worse. But I think that Llanowar Elves is better than everything but Eviscerate, Shivan Fire, and Skittering Surveyor
Yeah,
in the common
I
slot.
mean, he was around the same spot, and Linnerels is obviously super strong. Like, yeah, it's clearly great. It has like, does this set have very many ways to use just a random creature in the late game, or
Yeah,
is it
actually it does. So, for example, I've used my Llanowar Elves multiple times to kick the minus X, the -2/-2 into a -5/-5, but
sure?
also which is
Yeah,
also what really good with Skittering Sphere. But also
yeah. If
I've
you're in green black, it seems especially because you have Salad Soothsayer. So
yeah,
if you happen to draw it late, you can cash it in.
and
That's like an uncommon.
the other
Yeah.
thing is a lot of my green decks play like very mana intensive cards, like cards that want
Mm-hmm.
to be kicked to 7 or 8.
Sure, like if you're in green red, you can play Fight with Fire, right? Like 9 mana is a lot, right?
Exactly. And so for that reason, like Lena Robes has kind of been, really high up there for me. What do you
Mhm.
think of the other two comments that I mentioned in my top four?
Yeah, I mean, I think Eviscerate, Shivan Fire, Surveyor are like substantially above the other ones. Like in my mind, because the other ones in consideration is Blessed. What is it called? The 5 mana white one, Blessed Light.
I think it's called Blessed Light.
Blessed Light. Okay, yeah, Blessed Light. That one's quite strong, and then I think he put Cloud Reader Sphinx as the best blue common.
The card's been pretty insane for me.
Yeah, no, it's pretty bonkers because like once you're the point in the game where you're casting a 5-drop, in most decks, every land that you put on the bottom is
Yeah.
like a
I
good portion of a card,
I
probably like
think
0.75
I think one of the
or
reasons
something.
that you were kind of skeptical about what he said is because I do think blue is the deepest at common. I think
It's really good.
Academy Journey Mage, Blink of an Eye, Cloud Reader Sphinx, and Deep
Hmm.
Freeze are all commons.
Yeah,
And I know some people don't like Deep Freeze. I find it totally serviceable in this set.
you just have to be smart with it. Like, it's very easy to make a terrible deep freeze deck,
Yeah.
but if you make a good deep freeze deck, then it's very good. Right? Like,
Yeah.
it's a really powerful effect in a set where removing abilities is very important. There's lots of flyers. There's lots of like late game win conditions that can completely go over top of a 0/4, right? So you can invalidate it, but if you're just playing Call the Cavalry and Deep Freeze, and like you're gonna be really sad. But
Yeah. I want to mention black really quick because we mentioned Eviscerate, but what we didn't mention is Eviscerate is actually better than the uncommon removal spell in this set. So the uncommon removal spell, while it exiles, which is sweet and settle the score, costs
Mhm.
double black. So
Yep,
what ends up happening is Eviscerate ends up being better because the single green is so easy to cast onto
single
your
black.
yeah
Yeah,
yeah. Sorry, what did I say?
green, but
Oh,
that's
sure.
okay. Yeah.
Is so much easier to cast in the set, and like you just get a hard cast that even without your Skittering Surveyor a lot of the time, just because it's 4 mana.
Mm-hmm.
You use it late. You use your removal source pretty late in this format, and
Yes.
and
Yeah, you're not getting aggressed too often. Like white and red, I think are the worst color. Like so there's a premium common removal spell in every color. And then like red, white's theme, like that color combination is equipment. So if they follow the theme, they just get destroyed most of the time. Like you have to be really careful if you're gonna build a red white deck because the theme kind of just gets you destroyed by all of the removal in the set. And so the games just go late because the best aggressive decks don't really come together
yeah.
that well.
I would like to mention some archetypal like commons because I think white has a
Sure.
bunch of those. So like I think Sarah's Disciple is a really good example of a like an archetypal common that I think is actually pretty
Do you
decent.
like that card?
I have found that card to be 2/2 flying first strike pretty often.
Okay.
Um, Now that being, and I also just lost to this card, so maybe my bias is showing. Um,
Uh-huh.
but I think specifically in that deck, it's totally fine. The other one I was going to
Uh,
mention was Pegasus Corsair. While this card,
that card is the beating. I think the 3 drops in white are actually just really strong. Pegasus
yeah,
Courser and the Tapper.
yeah, I do think that Pegasus Courser does lend itself. That the Tapper was the next one.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's actually
Dalvin,
called Tapper, right?
yeah, Davenant. It's called Trapper.
Oh, Trapper. Okay.
Yeah,
It's Tapper in my head because that's what it does.
correct. Yes.
Yeah, but I think Pegasus Corsair and the Tapper and the 1/1. Maybe the 1/1's bad. I would love to hear from listeners their experience with the card. I don't draft the black, white, and blue, white decks very often in this format, but I
Mm-hmm.
have lost to the blue, white deck recently and played the black, white deck early on in the format a bunch before.
Yeah. I think that they can be okay. I haven't liked the Sarah Disciple, but you're really not losing on too much, right? Like the 3/1 is pretty bad, and the 2/2 that gets +1 attack for every legendary permanent isn't great. So like, unless you get the uncommon 2 drops, I think you're probably okay playing the flyer.
Yeah, I think you also played Dub a pretty substantial amount of time in that deck.
I hate that. I don't want to do that in the set. It feels so bad.
So I also hate that, but it's because of Blink of an Eye and Cast Down.
You're right. Yeah, there's like, yeah.
But you
Do you
don't
think
do
that
it.
I just don't play that card. I mean, unless
I'm willing to believe that's correct.
yeah, like I think the only times that I've ever played it is when I have the red white guy.
Okay, but you're playing. I assume you're still playing all your run-amucks in like your red white one.
Yeah. Oh no, not the red white guy. The red one. The uncommon that he makes 3/2 hasters.
Okay.
What is it? Valduke.
Okay.
With if I get like a couple Valdukes, I'll start valuing random equipment because I think like he can actually close a game really fast. And if you put Valduk and then you put the equipment on the 2-drop instead of him, it kind of like puts them in a really rough spot where they don't know which one to kill. And so
what card is this?
So it's 3 mana. So it's 2 in a red for a 3/2 legendary creature. It's Valduk, Keeper of the Flame, and then it says at the beginning of combat on your turn, for each aura and equipment attached. Oh, you have to attach it to him. Sorry.
Yeah.
So
I remember this card.
Yeah, attached to him, you create a 3/1 red elemental creature token with trample and haste, and then exile those at the beginning of the next step.
Okay.
But
yeah,
I don't know. He kills people pretty quick.
Do you that? So I don't know if you were answering my question there, but do you still play like run amok in your green red and red white and decks?
I just like I just draft the Soul Tie decks.
So you just don't
always.
ever draft the aggressive decks.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
like I just kind of avoid it.
I think that's
like
fine.
Maybe they're okay. The white black is actually the one I'll find myself falling into, but it's actually not that aggressive. It's just like flyers, removal, bombs. Green red, I guess, yeah, you could play it.
Cool.
Run amok is interesting because I think there's not a lot of instant speed removal that can punish it. I think your run amoks normally work really well. And I guess if you have a low enough curve, you can be the aggressor most of the time. I think this set you could more reliably be the aggressor than in a lot of other sets.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. So let's talk about top uncommons really quickly. I don't think that there is a reason to not include colorless once again because I think that we have a
AC
manipulator in this set is actually just bonkers.
Yeah, it's really good. I was surprised how good it was because I didn't play with it originally, and so everyone was super hyped, and so I gave it a go, and I was like, oh, yeah, this card's cool. It's like all of the upside of the 1-drop white tappers, but it's colorless and like it can tap anything.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of color screwing my opponents. I like that a lot. So yeah,
that's
it's
real
sweet.
fun, Danny. That's that's a real good time. I think that the other top colored uncommons to me, I think Embolus's Clutches is my number one. Fight with Fire, yeah. For the single color ones, yes.
Yeah, I think Fight with Fire is my number one.
Okay, that's my number two. So
yeah, that card is like, whew.
Yeah, I've won a lot of games with Fight with Fire. I've probably cast more Fight with Fires than I have in Bolus's Clutches.
So I think the reason why I personally like Fight with Fire so much is because of Get To Chronicler. I think if that card didn't exist, I could agree with you. But sure. The ability to just be able to like
get back a Fight with Fire.
Fight with Fire, just use your Fight with Fire as a 3-drop and then also get it back and use it as the game, like your finisher in the late game, is like insane. And Chronicler, you're almost every deck that I draft, you can reliably get 2 or 3, and then that card is just insane. Especially if you're in red black and you soul salvage the Chroniclers, and like you can just grind through literally anything, and Fight with Fire is perfect in that deck.
Sure, that makes sense.
I mean, but Impulse's Clutches is obviously also great.
Yeah.
Again, stealing their land is another personal favorite of mine.
Yeah. Do you remember the first draft deck I ever posted when this set came out the first time?
No, I do not.
All right. It has 4 Shivan Fires, a Fight with Fire, 2 Grow from Ashes, 2 Halyas, a Fire Siege Gang Commander, a Fiery Intervention, 2 Get 2 Chroniclers.
Oh boy.
That was a very easy trophy.
Yeah, that was actually insane. 4 Shivan Fires is like.
What? We didn't mention Get 2 Chronicler, by the way, and I feel like that's
yeah.
That's
so I don't think it's the most powerful one. I think I take it for granted a lot, but it's like one of the best role players in the red deck.
I think the black one is really good too.
Oh yeah, no, the Cabal Skin Witch is also great.
Yeah, I think they're both pretty just powerful in this set.
Yeah, Black Red is my favorite archetype to draft, primarily because of those two. Just because if you need to be defensive, you can play them, but you don't normally need to be, and so they're just like your 6 drops that are just in case your 2 drops if you want them to be. So, which is a sweet
Song of Freyalise and Cast Down.
Yeah, those are the other 2. Song of Freyalise is that one is the most powerful when used to its full extent. It's like it just you win the game if you have a Song of Freyalise hand, you win.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. I think that's fair. Where do you land on my favorite white uncommon right now is probably between the Onsera's Wings and maybe Seal Away, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean Seal is good. Sarah Angel is surprisingly fine. I like. How good is that card normally? Is it normally really good?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay, yeah, it's good in the set.
You're like, Danny's like, I did not play Core Set Limited 8 years ago.
Like I know it's good.
It's
really
good.
It's probably worse in the set.
Do you think it's better than Onsera's Wings or worse?
Worse.
Oh, I think it's worse also. That's why I said Onsera's Wings.
Yeah, Onsera's Wings, like if the turtle didn't exist, I would say the Angel is better. The turtle existing makes Onsera's Wings.
I really don't see that as much as people complain about it.
Really? No, it's like, no. I mean, if I first pick Onsera's Wings, turtle.
You're just looking for turtle.
Yeah, that
snappers.
Is the game. It's basically unbeatable. Like,
okay.
I mean, blink of an eye is one of the few things that actually interacts with it at all. Sure. I'm trying to think of what else.
And then you still have to deal with a 4/5.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I mean, but you win. Like if you, I don't know. That combination is just oppressive.
Sure. But. Yeah. I think the other one that I would mention that's multicolored is Tatiova. I think my current draft deck has 2 of those also, by the way. This draft deck is gas, by the way.
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
Grow from the Ashes gets really, really, really good with Tatiova.
Yeah, you talk about you like drafting Sultai. I just draft Sultai. Like it's not the Sultai colors. I just actually draft Sultai.
Mm-hmm. That like the green decks. I think it's almost optimal to be in 3 colors if you can be base green. You want like all of your early like 2 and 3 drops to be in 2 colors, but then you should just have all of the late game of a 3rd color.
Sure,
for sure.
Let's talk about top archetypes. So I have these listed in kind of in not the perfect order. I think in my order would be blue-red wizards is the very, very best. Red-black is the second best. And then black-green is probably the 3rd best. But I'd like to kind of talk about why Dominaria isn't my favorite draft format because of this list. And that's because you actually can't draft red-blue wizards.
It was pretty well known to be the best. It is the aggro deck of the format that actually works, I think.
You can't draft it on Arena either. You couldn't draft it in paper or on MTGO because everybody would take the top commons. But the bots also just take. I literally don't think you can draft the deck.
Someone was saying earlier that like supposedly they thought blue red was really open on Arena, but that hasn't been my experience.
I have not had that experience at
Yeah,
all.
not at all. So like the big payoffs are Adelies, like for sure. Like the Adelies
That card
draws,
does go late.
That one, yeah, all of the 2-color cards actually go pretty
Yeah,
late on
the
Arena.
uncommon archetype cards do go late.
You get paid, like I've gotten a Wrath Capuchin like really late. Like all of them go surprisingly late. I think Arena, I don't think that the bots are set up to just take a pick order. I think they almost try to like reward archetypes. I think they're kind of weird, if that makes sense. Like they don't act like humans, obviously, but like I think they try to simulate a different drafting experience. But that could be wrong.
Yeah, I think that blue red has great removal. I mean, we talked about Shivan Fire, Blink of an Eye, Fiery Intervention, Collaborator Sphinx. I had mentioned during the blue segment how good I think our guild mage is. I think it just
Dalian Arcanist is sweet in that deck too, because like it's a wizard, so it works with Journey Mage. You want to be casting spells in that deck. It gets buffed once you find your Adelies.
Get to Chronicler is pretty gas.
Also sweet, yeah.
The deck is just it just has the best cards.
I think you have the highest quantity of really good cards that you want in your deck, right?
Yeah. It's possible that the reason that people are saying that this is open in Arena is because it probably feels way more open than it ever did in paper because you just actually couldn't draft it in paper.
In paper, there was like 2 or 3 drafters in it most of the time. Like in blue-red, which is kind of crazy.
I don't think that that's true. I think that they all were in black-red and in blue. Like, all of the commons got split between all of the other decks.
That's funny. Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, that's the reason this isn't my favorite draft format, because I don't get to draft my favorite deck very often. But that being said, I do think that black-red is a good substitute for this deck if you just like want to have a really fun experience playing Get to Chronicler and stuff like that.
Black-red is probably like the sweetest. I feel like I get to really use every part of the buffalo in black-red. So like the lock is you have a Get to Chronicler, Soul Salvage, and then like maybe 2 Get to Chroniclers, and then a Thallid Omnivore, and then you just kind of go to town on your whole graveyard. And like it's kind of like you can basically have infinite value. It does cost a lot of mana, but I like the ability to just kind of like you can grind out anything. If Eviscerate kills their game plan, then you can just grind out actually anything.
Yeah, I think that black-red just does its the grindy thing right. There are a few things that I think are a little bit underappreciated on Arena that makes this deck a little bit better. The Skin Witch, I think.
Yeah, the Skin Witch goes so late on Arena, and that card is a beating. You have to play around it too. Like if you're playing against decks with swamps, you need to be thinking about whether or not you want to play your lands, because Skin Witch is a real thing that happens a lot.
I also find that Fungal Infection actually is totally fine in this deck.
That card's just good.
Yeah,
it's really, really efficient.
You would think that like what does -1/-1 do, but it makes your guys kill their guys pretty often, and then you just get a 1/1, or it lets.
Skullduggery was a sweet card, and it's like it's not that, but
it's close.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, right. Yeah, sometimes it's better, and a lot of times it's worse. But
yeah. Overall, I think the black-red's just great, and then we kind of mentioned black-green.
This one I think is the hardest to draft.
Yeah, you have to have like the pieces kind of come together in the right order with the right the right curve and things like that.
Yeah.
It's not just like a pile of powerful cards, it's like a very powerful synergy deck.
Correct. Yeah. And like I think middle of pack 2, pack 3, you have a lot of really difficult decisions, right? Like you'll have a pack that has a Spore Swarm and a Thallid Soothsayer. And if you make the wrong decision in that pick, it could your deck could be significantly worse, right? And it's kind of you have to match up the right pieces with the right other ones, and like I think it's very rewarding if you've drafted it a lot and like you understand what your deck is going to play like, because it's pretty consistent. like there's a lot of redundancy. Like you can get the Saproling themes going really well. Like Thallid Omnivore is a really powerful card, especially when combined with green. And so it can work out. You just have to be really careful about when you're drafting it.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I think those are the top three archetypes. I would say that Bug is my third favorite, or
Yeah, like
green, blue
green.
green splash. So
Yeah,
like sometimes it's Bant, sometimes it's 4 color, sometimes it's
yeah.
5 color.
It just depends on what bomb you open.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think those are the top archetypes. Is there anything that you want
for
to say
sure.
to wrap this one up before we go on to a few other things?
Um, I think in Dominaria, it's especially important to not just have a pile of cards. I think you like the uncommons and rares, especially get they vary in their strength greatly based on how well you use them. So like something like Haphazard Bombardment is one of my favorite cards in the set, and a lot of people don't think it's like very playable, but if you use it right, it's like it will win the game by itself. You just like blow up all their lands, blow up all their permanents, keep bouncing it back to your hand, play it again. Like the second copy of Haphazard Bombardment's way better than the first because it kills 4 things instead of 3. I don't know, like, and there's lots of cards like that where if you make the most of them, they can win the game by themselves, and which is really fun for me. I enjoyed that part of Dominaria a lot.
Awesome. I agree with everything you said. I would also just tell people that are drafting Arena right now on ranked
Mm-hmm.
that I think that green is super open, so drafting a blue green deck just is probably a great way to go.
Mm-hmm.
The other tip that I would give right now is kind of to what Danny's saying. If you can afford it, you probably just shouldn't play your bad Dominaria decks in ranked, and probably just resign with them. The reason the reason that I'm saying this, and I know that's kind of like a weird thing to say, but if you're specifically trying to hit Mythic, I don't think that Dominaria is the kind of format where you're going to get a lot of 7 wins with like clunkers.
I can see what you're saying. Like your random red white beatdown deck surprisingly doesn't get there very often.
And I'm not saying that like a good beatdown deck won't get there. If you have a good deck, that's fine. But
Uh-huh.
I would not fault somebody for being like this deck is like kind of mediocre and
Mm-hmm.
not deciding to draft it. Anyway, that's just my thought.
Yeah, I haven't done that personally, but I could definitely see like if you get close, like once you get up to diamond or something, if you want to
Sure.
like not get like lose traction, that would make a lot of sense.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Spencer38. You can find Danny at DJ Cathro. You can find my computer making that lovely noise that everybody on the podcast just heard here in my home. Yeah, and you can.
Are you inviting people to your home, Spencer?
No, no, actually, I'm not. But we're bringing back hashtag What's the Pick, Danny?
Oh, I'm ready. Hold on. Good Twitter.
There's only one. It's from Jeff Page, who I will respond to. I don't know if Jeff Page has ever listened to our show before, but I will respond from our LTO account, letting him know that we talked about this on the
I
show.
love this. I
Uh,
see this.
and we have. Why don't you talk about the key cards here? Because I see.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
So he's in. This is a good one. So he's in black white. It looks like it's pick one of pack two. He has yeah. So far he's pretty in black white. He has a Yawgmoth's Vile Offering with a Yargle, a Blessed Light, Deathloom Thallid. Oh, he has a History of Benalia. That's really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so like it looks like he's pretty solidly in both colors, like half and half. Okay. And then the choices are Icy Manipulator, Sarah Angel, on Sarah's Wings as the uncommons. There is a Caligo Skin Witch as a notable common, and then the mythic rare is Multani Yavimai's Avatar, which is one of the best rares in the set.
Yeah. I don't think you're switching off of black for that though. Like I don't want to draft white green.
Yeah, white green is actually a pretty terrible color
Yeah,
combination.
and
I think your second option is so good. I don't think it's worth taking
What
it.
do you take? Do you take Icy, Sarah Angel, or On Sarah's Wings?
So he has a Yawgmoth's probably an Icy, I think.
Yeah, I think Icy or On Sarah's Wings would be my pick here. I would probably take the Icy Manipulator. It triggers your historic stuff for your black-white deck, just like On Sarah's Wing does, but it's also a removal spell. It's tough though. I mean, you don't have to pick that at this point. But also there's not like I don't like see a world where On Sarah's Wings is just winning me a ton of games. I mean, I guess if you put it on a Yargle and get in with it, that's like probably GG. But
Yeah. What's your opinion on the legendary sorceries? Like, do you value Yawgmoth's Violet offering pretty highly?
um, I mean, it is a reason to consider because you have to have the On Sarah's Wings, right? For that, so that
Sure. That
that is
that
a
that
nod
like
to
I
it.
think that is a consideration to taking on Sarah's Wing so that it activates that turn.
Yeah,
But maybe that's just win more. Like if your on Sarah's Wing is sticking around, you probably are winning, right?
yeah, that's true too. Um, it's tough. I think it depends on where you think your draft is going to end up more than anything. Uh,
Uh-huh.
I those are the two that I would pick between. So I'm glad that you agree that we're both off of Sarah Angel here.
Yeah, no, I think that one's significantly worse. Multani is like, hmm, it's probably not like Multani is really, really strong though. Like I think if the card quality was a little bit lower, I would take it. But
If I had
you're
better
just getting an
black,
icy manipulator,
if
right?
I
Like
had
you're
better
getting
black than I
such a
did
good
white,
card.
then I would consider it. But
Uh
like,
huh.
I don't know that a soul salvage is enough of a reason for me to go into black green.
No, your black cards are all like solid though. Like you don't have bad black cards. They're solid.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think icy is just too strong, and like it's just such a safe pick, especially this early. Like you just can't go wrong.
Yeah, I mean you are in pack 2, right? So like you
Yeah,
and I think that if you pick the Onzer's Wings, you've committed. But I don't know that you're not committing by picking the
the
IC2.
icy. Yeah,
So,
I guess I just you're like an icy. I think that you'll be able to make the Yawgmoth's Violet offering turned on through other legendary permanents. You'll have enough time, and like an icy manipulator is such a strong effect that you really only get if you first pick it most of the time.
yeah.
Uh,
All
cool.
right. Well, thank you everybody so much for listening this week. We'll talk to everybody next week on another episode of Limited Time Only.
Thanks.